All right. This should be recording. I believe it is another one for us, but this is, I'm going to let you take this, Clint. You bought this.
Yeah, sure. So we're going to continue on to Victory with C here for a little bit, because we mentioned when we did the unboxing of the starter box that I was going to get the U.S. fleet as well. So I figured we'd unbox the fleet so you guys could kind of see what this looks like. I'm going to flip this bad boy over for a minute, cover up the sticker shock for a second.
Yeah, sticker shock is.
Yeah, this is right. So Fleet Battle. So this is just the fleet. So what it is just ships and cards. There's no rules. There's no dice. There's no nothing. This is your expansion to the regular U.S. fleet. It's also going to include, every fleet box will include an aircraft carrier, which also comes with aircraft. And we see if we can make this. So this is going to contain 8 of the resin model ships. For the named ships, so like the U.S. New Mexico, the Essex, the Houston, the Chester, and the Portland. Then it's got 3 destroyers and 4 Corsair flights, which the Corsairs are the planes for the aircraft carrier. Here's why it's the sticker shock. This is the average price for these boxes.
$128 USD, huh?
Yeah, right. $128 US. It hurts a little. This game is definitely an investment. Let's put it that way. But
well, compared to others, though, it's,
yeah.
I mean,
with what you get, though, it's amazing. I started building some of the ships.
There you go.
My bad. I started building some of the ships. You know, I sent you the pictures of the Bismarck, and which is the German one, and I started on the Idaho, which we did do in the other video. I will say this before I actually delve into anything. The way these are, this is resin, obviously. You know, resin needs to be washed and a little more handling. The unique ships have the metal components, so the bridge, the turret, the guns, stuff like that. If you're not a experienced hobbyist, if you're just new to miniature building or hobby gaming, I will warn you, while the rules for this game are extremely easy and very simple to play and actually a lot of fun, the hobby building of the ships themselves are going to be a bit of a challenge if you've never done it before. I'm not going to say that it's impossible for a beginner to do it. Just say expect a little bit of frustration.
A pain.
The metal cast pieces, once you get them off the sprue, as long as you can get them off carefully, are generally not too bad of a thing to deal with. But if you don't get them off right, expect some trimming and some other stuff that has to be done.
So you got your...
All right.
Another World of Warships.
So we have a bunch of bubble wrap. Yay, bubble wrap.
All right. Well, I want to see what's in the bubble wrap.
Yeah, I know you do. But first, let's look at this. All right. So since I have not opened a fleet box before, this will be the first one I've seen in real life. Obviously, you have your World of Warship
because yours was the starter box, the one we
Mine
did the
was the
video
starter,
on, right?
and this is just the U.S. fleet.
The U.S. fleet box. All right.
You're going to get, obviously, assembly instructions. So this just kind of gives you a real quick overview of where everything goes. Guns, turret. The bridge is very important. As I've said before in the other videos, your turn and all that is based on the bridge of the ship.
So make sure.
Yeah, so instead of measuring from the front or the center, like most games do, you are going to measure from the bridge. And the bridge will be offset. You'll notice the destroyer's bridge is here, where the Houston and even the Chester's bridge is there. The carrier's bridge is going to be offset. I mean, they're going to be close, but the game is designed, especially the turn marker, to utilize
for
that.
turning purpose.
So you got your tokens.
You got more tokens. You got cards.
Your cards. So your ship cards for each of the ships, as well as just the destroyers. This one being a generic destroyer card. Ooh, those are nasty. 3 torpedoes each. Too bad they're one shot, but... as I've learned, and I mentioned this in some of our other podcasts, that torpedoes hurt.
Yeah.
A lot. Now your crew, like this Portland class cruiser, for an example, is a low damage ship. 26 points. Get it where you can see it.
Yeah, it'll autofocus.
26 points with an 8 critical range. 8 critical ranges when the damage is down to that 8. You start rolling additional critical effects. But like the light guns here, you get 6 dice. The attack dice is what you roll. It's all, you let it focus. My bad. You got too much going on for the camera to try to compensate for. There we go.
Yeah.
So I'll go slower. So you're going to see there's a 6 on the attack dice. It's kind of right here in the middle. That's the number of dice you're rolling. That's the number of D6s you roll to make an attack. One attack. Then your AP and your others factor into that. So without going into the rules exclusively, that's kind of how that runs. You get your ship point costs. Each ship's going to have a points cost. Each ship's going to have its damage marker depending. A lot of these smaller ships are only going to take so much damage. 23 points is not a lot in this game. Especially when you compare to the Bismarck, who can take 102.
That's a lot of
now,
damage.
This poor destroyer, which seems to be aptly named because it can take 3 points of damage, means, yeah, pretty much going to be destroyed. But these guys do field torpedoes and quite a bit of torpedoes.
So it's going to be the damage you can do before you're destroyed on some
I mean, they can't take a pounding, but boy, they can dish it out. And
there you go.
This being all the weapons this ship has, even though a lot of these on this ship is one shot, that's still deadly. And with torpedoes, you're slightly limited on range, but not completely. All right.
Nice. Now let's
get into what you want to get
Here's
into.
what everybody wants to see. What you got?
Here's the ships. So all the ships come in the little bubble wrap.
Real quick, how many ships came in this?
So,
say?
Yep,
it said fleet, but was it?
It's a fleet. So I'm going to move these guys and give you some of the small ones first. So here's your 3 destroyers. Then they're going to be identical. And so this is just the destroyers. These are those light ones that can't really take much of a pounding. And then without dragging it all out, here is your planes. So these guys sit on a base that dials up, and they just sit on top. And this is whenever you're launching aircraft. So the rules do include stat rules for aircraft. You need the carrier or a ship that is capable of launching aircraft, which some of the other ships do have an aircraft rating. And I have not played with aircraft rules, but that should be kind of interesting to see how that would work. All right, let's get some of the bigger guys. So you see that was just 3 small ships. And we got some of our bigger guys.
Much bigger.
Yeah, so this one's going to be the USS Portland.
Now see, that's what I like about this. It does tell you on the ship what it is. Yep. So instead of trying to guess, you can see.
We'll see if we can get it to focus it. So right there on the side, each one of the ships that are named will say this. If they're just a generic ship, you will get basically the classification of the ship.
The type of just...
this one is the Chester, and then this guy is the Portland again. So you've got a couple of the Portland. I'm hoping that's not an error. Now, interesting enough, some of the ships also have...
oof, those are big.
Yeah, those are big. And we'll move those guys for a second.
Okay.
Before I show the big ones, I'm going to show you the components. So this is what I was talking about with the metal. So their weapons and everything here are all cast in basically, for lack of a better term, pewter.
That type
essentially.
Of material.
So they're very soft, very easy to break, especially gun barrels and everything. So when you're not really experienced with working with this stuff, I always suggest be very cautious. These are tiny, and if you have big hands like I do, it's really hard to hold some of these small pieces once they're off their sprue. Now, it's doable, and when you're trying to file and trim, be very cautious. Also remember, use super glue or specialized glue. Not every super glue is going to allow you to glue the metal to this resin. It's going to be tricky.
So what glue did you find works best for you?
I'm using our Zappa Gap, which is what we normally use.
That's what we normally
but use. The Tamiya stuff that I use for the general plastics for like Warhammer will not bond this at all.
That's because it's a thin.
It's a thinner one, and it's made for plastic only. So it will work on resin. I've tried it on some of the resin turrets. I think this one. Nope, these are all going to be metal for this box. Whew, oh boy.
And so the other ones that came with it?
Here's our other 2 big ships. This is our New Mexico class. And, size comparison-wise, this is a big battleship. And then last but not least, the carrier. Now the carrier, miniature base-wise, this is the size of the Bismarcks, the German Bismarck. Most of your carriers are going to be on these larger bases. Carrier assembly is going to be pretty easy because you've just got your bridge that goes here, and that's about it. Then, yeah, that's about everybody for this.
So you get
quite a bit for the investment, and I get why their price point kind of sits where it does.
And they're fairly solid. They're
very solid.
They're thick, but
and if you get a little warpage like this one's a little warped. You can kind of see the base is not quite flat. So you dunk this guy in a boiling pan of water on the stove just to soften it. Take it out, flatten it on the table, and then have somebody just pour some cold water right over it. That sucker will straighten right out. The nice thing about this resin, this is a much more durable resin, as you can tell. So it's not meant to be super flexible, but it is a little flexible. I love how they've done this, and I love that it's got this big flat base. Plus, this is going to be real easy to paint. And all the details, I know we've showed the detail before. So for those of you that paint, you basically paint the water blue, you dry brush white over it or gray, and you got your water, you're done. Most of these ships only require 2 or 3 colors depending on how detailed you want to get. The German ships especially, they have a little extra markings. Those are going to require a little more color or paints. Also, depending on symbolism you want to put on your German ships.
So you can pretty much paint them.
Yeah, these are going to be...
But the guide, I seen the one you were showing me. The guide was pretty cool. It told you exactly.
This one does not include the paint guide, which I really wish it did. But the unique character ships, a lot of times with your assembly instructions, when you buy, especially the unique ones, the character ones, you're going to have your assembly, and then on the back side is going to be color photos and the paints to use. Now they're recommending Vallejo paints, and they're recommending
that tells you exactly.
Hobby. Yeah, it tells you the paint model number.
Because when you sent that picture to me earlier, it was exact.
It was, and it didn't matter which ship, because I had one for the German ship and I had one for the American ship. So they covered both their bases on both of them. So that was really kind of nice that they did that. But that's what you get for that amount of investment. I mean, in any fleet box is going to be similar to this. Now, the starter box only included the U.S. and the Japanese. Now, the ships that are in the starter box for the U.S. and the Japanese do not exist anywhere else except the starter box. So if you want a full U.S. fleet, for example, you will need the starter box as well as the fleet box. And then there are individual ships. And I showed you on the last one, we had the Idaho, which is the one I'm working on. And I just ordered the Missouri, which I really wanted the Missouri.
Well, yeah, just take a look at that other video we got. It's short, too.
Yeah.
And it will show you the starter box. So I think, well, you're pretty happy with it, Clint. So now we got a game.
Yeah.
It's what we got to do.
Yep.
But
and now I need to learn how to use the aircraft once I get all that together.
And this map, it does not come with it, by the way, in case you don't know. This is from Sails of Glory.
Yep.
A different manufacturer. But it is an awesome nautical map. But it does, your starter kit, if you look at it, it comes with 2 big paper maps.
Yeah, it came with those giant paper maps, which really, really help. And I am going to order their map that they have on their website.
I would. I mean, because once you made the investment, you may as well buy the map and just go from there. Because it's a really nice looking map.
I think worth it. Now, their price point is reasonable. I don't think their stuff is super... It's not cheap, but it's not ridiculous. It's not super overpriced. I mean, $80 for a starter box is not uncommon, considering what, a Warhammer starter box.
Yeah, so you don't have to say anything to me. I've started playing Warhammer, and I tell you right now, that's a costly endeavor.
It is. I love it.
No matter how they do it.
And really, when you look at it, so just for a U.S. fleet, for example, if you're paying retail cost, you're $80 for the starter box, you're $128 for this, you're $25 for each ship, each of the 2 unique ships, and then anything more that comes out. You can purchase additional planes. They're $20 for 4 of them, for 4 flights.
So you're looking at about $300 to get a lot. But my Indominus set for Warhammer was $207. So,
but I mean, one fleet box with everything that we have, dude. We're burying a 6x8 table or
Yeah, it says
4x8 table.
It's
Yeah.
large dimension table.
I mean,
so
we're burying that, and God, if we get even 6 ships each on the table, I mean, some of those small ones are going to go fast. They're going to get tore up and sunk. But you get something like the Bismarck with 102 points of damage, that's going to be on the board for probably 5 or 6 rounds, unless you do like my daughter does, and then you just get an instant.
She blew you out of the water.
Sinks it instantly.
he did a test play with his daughter.
Yeah,
she sunk him.
She sunk it, but pretty harsh. Yeah. So,
but you do need the starter sets,
yes,
and this is not the map. We're just reiterating that so there's no confusion.
This map would allow 4 ships each side.
You could do it with a small engagement.
A small engagement. I mean, we could successfully do 2 ships, 2 smaller ships, or maybe 1 big ship, 1 small ship on this map. But you are literally in each other's face almost instantly, and it is a full-on brutal fight to the death at that point.
Yeah, well, see, that's what the shorter maps can do for it. Now, for the game this map was intended for, it's just right.
Oh, yeah.
It works good for Oak and Iron and a few of the others too.
But those you are only running.
But this, you are going to need the bigger maps that come with it, and I would just say invest in the map.
It's an investment, but it's worth the investment. Warlord does not put out chintzy stuff. I mean, if you're buying Bold Action, for example, you're going to have money invested, and it's a much bigger scale.
Yeah, Bold Action is pretty big.
So.
Well, I appreciate you bringing that by, Clint. He wanted to show that off and show you guys. And
now I can start assembling them.
Yeah.
And once I get the U.S. fleet all painted and everything, we'll go ahead and lay it out, and we'll show you guys what this fleet looks like painted. And then give you some ideas on gameplay, because I would like to do some just simple game overview stuff. I'd like to just spend some time doing an overview of the rule. We just do a quick, easy video on rules overview. Well, it's 4 pages. It's not hard.
Now, if you guys are listening, this is being put out on a Sunday, so I don't know when you're hearing the video at this point, but Sundays at 4 p.m. Central Time, we're going to do our little live shows that we're going to start doing every Sunday. So if you're a member of the Facebook group we have or follow the page, you're going to know, because it'll notify you that we're doing a live thing. And so we'll let you guys know, and we're going to talk about it probably later today if Clint can get on. I don't know.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
We'll try.
But I'll be there, and so, join us on the weekends, and anybody's welcome. I'll send you guys a link. All you have to do is ask for it. It's free. You can just get on and video chat. So,
all right. Give us your thoughts. This is new to us.
Yeah.
And we've done naval battle games before. But this one's the first one we've done in World War II, yeah.
You got me kind of hooked. Clint's responsible for getting me into Sails of Glory, and I did that, and I was like, wow, this is a lot more fun than it looked. So naval battles are a lot more fun than you would think. I mean, give it a shot anyways. And
if you like historic stuff, this is one of the few that are World War II based. And that, to me, is a little more appealing than wooden sailing ships, although Sails of Glory and Oak and Iron are pretty interesting.
I like the Oak and Iron for the pirate aspect. But for this, you have a World War II thing. World War II is always a good gaming subject. Everybody likes that.
Yeah,
so.
And this is just the beginning for this. There's a lot more on the horizon. If you check out Warlord Games' website on this, you're going to see a lot of pre-order stuff for a lot of the fleets. The Japanese and the Germans, for example, have a lot coming for pre-order.
Oh, so they don't have the German fleet out yet?
They have the German fleet out. The fleet is out. And the Bismarck is their only unique one. But there's, like I was telling you, there's those 2 character ships that are pre-order right now. Captains, and they're German, So those are going to be pretty nasty, especially if you can tie them with the Bismarck.
So it's going to be like, basically, the heroes for each country. Or the famous captains,
I'm guessing,
maybe?
I mean, now it's just the German, but
It's kind of like with tank battles. Everybody knows Rommel. The guy was a genius, right?
Yep.
So he had his own stats and his own stuff. So with this, I mean, I think...
Yep, I see it very much going that way with this one as well, for sure.
Well, that's cool. So. I mean, well, thank you guys for watching. If you can, subscribe if you haven't. Give us a thumbs up and share it. That'd be cool. Or join our Facebook group and follow the page. We do have a podcast we do too, every Thursday and a couple times throughout the week. So you can find us if you want, but